Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all classmates, including our beloved lecturer Dr. Kamil. I'm Muhammad Daniel, grade 1 Fiqhi.
I'm Nu'atira binti Nawawi and
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Imran bin Uthman.
My name is Amirul Hakim bin Jumat Nasir.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ikmal Izzuddin bin Isa.
We are from the first group in Al-Fiqhiyyah, and our presentation is about Al-Fiqhiyyah, Al-Masyaqah, Tajlib, Al-Taysir. Introduction. Al-Fiqhiyyah. Al-Fiqhiyyah, known as legal maxims. It is a statement of principles on various topics derived from the laws of fiqh. The term qaid means foundation, rule, principle, method, or technique. It is a universal that is applicable throughout its particulars, while the term fiqhiyyah means understanding or comprehension. It is a knowledge gained from specific evidence due to Sharia laws about the act of mukallaf. Al-Fiqhiyyah represent the culmination of progress and is not expected to be superseded in the formative stage of fiqh development. Al-Fiqhiyyah is also considered as a general fiqh rule and may be required in various matters to solve or to relieve a mukallaf. You see, there's multiple technique, multiple method of Al-Fiqhiyyah, and one of the significant technique is Al-Masyaqah, Tajlib, Al-Taysir, which means difficulties lead to convenience. In brief, Islam does not burden its ummah when mukallaf is facing difficulties or hard situation that could suffer him. Then he got relief. This means that this method means that if there's any difficulties in carrying the command of Allah, then the command will be relief. For example, there's 5 obligatory of Islam, 5 pillars of Islam. One of them is fasting during Ramadan. Let's just say that a mukallaf is fasting during Ramadan. At the same time, he is traveling. So due to traveling, he is extremely exhausted, and therefore he got relief. He is allowed to break his fast during day. He is not sinful for doing that because he got his own reason. If he keeps on fasting, he could suffer himself. So there's no sinful for doing that. There is a relief. See, these difficulties will lead a person to convenience to save the person from suffering during difficult, unbearable, and even weakens the person. If a person is facing difficulties that may lead him to do something prohibited, then he is forgiven because of the hardened situation. So that is a brief of Al-Masyaqah, Tajlib, Al-Taysir.
the first objective is to open the eyes of society to the importance of fiqhiyah methods to deal with change and current issues related to Islam law. As we know, the farther the Muslims are with the time of the Prophet, the more issues related to religion arise. So we can practice this qawaid fiqhiyah apart from Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. This qawaid fiqhiyah can also keep mujtahids, judges, and muftis to make ijtihad in issuing a fatwa based on the issues of the public. The second objective is to provide knowledge to Muslims in Malaysia about qawaid fiqhiyah. With many studies related to the knowledge of qawaid fiqhiyah, it is easier for the community to learn it because there are many reading materials. Guided by this method of fiqh, the scholars can make it as a general guide in making legal provisions. This method also serves as a guideline for scholars of Islamic law. It makes it easier for them to understand and coordinate diverse cases under the method that can cover all the same cases. The third objective of this study is to make community understand well on how scholars determine a law. As we often see on social media lately, netizens often blame the scholars for every fatwa issued by the Mufti. They assume that the Mufti determines the law at will without a deep knowledge of religion. But logically, the knowledge of netizens regarding religious law is lower than the scholars because the scholars had studied before issuing fatwa. So it is not appropriate for netizens to challenge the credibility of the muftis in Malaysia because they lack of knowledge. So, if we learn this Qawaid Fiqhiyyah, we can better understand every fatwa issued by the mufti and not dispute it.
Meaning of Al-Masyaqah, Tajlib Al-Taysir. The word Al-Masyaqah comes from the word shuqqah, which means fatigue, hardship and difficulty in the original language. The goals of Masyaqah, which can provide relief here, is to eliminate syar'i demands, which is takhlifatu syar'iyyah, while Masyaqah that cannot erase syar'i demands, for example, feels weighty when accepting limitation. There are others where such things have no influence in relieving Shari'i law, while the word Al-Taysir, which signifies as ease or flexibility, as mentioned in the Prophet's hadith, narrated by Bukhari and Muslim, Inna ad-dinu yusr, means religion is easy, not complicated. It is clear from the definition of At-Taysir in the language that difficulties can be the source of ease. So the rule's meaning is that difficulty leads to ease. The meaning is that when laws produce difficulties and difficulties in the implementation, the Shari'iyah simplifies them so that they can be applied without difficulty. Types of Masyaqah. Scholars divide this Masyaqah into three categories. First, Al-Masyaqah Al-Azimah, extreme difficulties such as the fear of losing one's soul or having one's body damaged. Second, Al-Masyaqah Al-Mutawassitah, intermediate difficulty, not very heavy nor very light. Last but not least, Al-Masyaqah Al-Khafifah, light difficulties. There are two exceptions to these rules. The first are the problems categorized as mild Masyaqah, and the second are the difficulties that come as a danger in an act, such as hunger while fasting. These types of suffering brings no respite unless the hunger has put his life in danger. There are at least 7 types of relief or is brought about by the existence of Masyaqah, which are Rukhsah Ifqas, Takhfif Tankish, Takhfif Ibdal, Takhfif Taqdim, Takhfif Takhir, Takhfif Tarkhis, and Takhfif Taghyir.
My part is fundraisers. Okay, issue 1. Mufti decide to postpone worship activities such as Friday prayers. Second point, even the law is mandatory for those who qualify, yet based on the current situation of the COVID-19 outbreak is legislation change to non-mandatory. Third point, Sheikh Ali Al-Qadraji opined it is obligatory to leave Friday prayers and congregational prayers in a virus state is spreading for fear of being infected with the virus. Second issue, postponement of Haji for residents outside Mecca and Medina. Second point, or the circulars of the word issue fatwa on the obligation to perform haji during a pandemic is not obligatory. Third point, concept of maqasid syariah in maintaining the safety of life, issue enough. Issue third, basic law in muamalat, buying and selling. Second point, the law of contract transaction of sale and purchase through electronic device is valid if before the transaction both parties have seen might be good sold. Third point, Islam is a religion that is in accordance with every development of the time. Thus, Islam also does not prohibit online buying and selling. For me, thank you. I will pass the next presenter.
Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now I will continue the presentation of description of finding research in point number 4. The point is the issue of use the drugs containing illegal substance such as pork. In Islam, illegal substance, of course it's haram, but things like that are allowed for the purpose of saving life. This is because saving life is an emergency, and emergency matter allow us to take illicit substance such as pork, but need to be within its limit. And also, as a Muslim user, we need to seek the guidance of honest doctor in religion and expert in medicine, and the doctor must to make sure there are no halal medicine that patient can take. So this situation is categorized as emergency, so that through this method, which is Al-Masyaqah Tajlib Al-Taysir, if we cannot find the halal medicine, we are allowed to take medicine contain haram substance. Alright, next for the conclusion. In Islam, all worship need to be done in an easy way, and also Islam does not bother and burden its believer in doing any worship. But still, there are several conditions before this method Al-Masyaqah Tajlib Al-Taysir can be applied in someone's life. Like example, we as a Muslim need to pray by standing up, but if some Muslim cannot pray standing up, then he or she are permissible to pray sitting, whether on the chair or on the floor. This shows that Islam is a religion that is easy to practice, but we cannot make it easy. As Allah say in Surah Al-Ma'idah verse 44, which says, O people of the book, do not go to extreme in your faith beyond the truth, nor follow the vain desire of those who went astray before you. They misled many and stray from the right way. And also, we cannot misuse this method, which is Al-Masyaqah Tajlib Al-Taysir, by performing worship casually. This coincides with the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was told to choose between two things, surely he sallallahu alaihi wasallam will choose the easier between the two as long it is not sinful. As for if he is a sinner, then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the most important person to leave him. Alright, that's all from me and from my group. Thank you.